thank you everybody for joining today. I'm going to give everybody a couple more minutes to get on in, and then I will and we'll get started. Avi, is there anything you want to share before we kind of kick this thing off?
No, this is great, and nothing specific. I guess you're going to get into it like, hey, we need people to be bringing the level.
Oh yeah,
right. So that's a big deal, right? So I think we'll get it. Yeah, nothing's otherwise.
Yeah. One of the big deals for us today is this is meant to be more of a workshop. So we are going to be sharing, our ideal structure for landing pages, what we've seen work in the past, all that fun stuff. But what I'm going to need from everybody here is to provide, preferably a PPC landing page that you've been stuck on, you're trying to work on, that then we can do live and break down based off of the parameters that we set. So not only will you learn about how we do things, but you'll also walk away with some actionable tips. So I'll share my screen there. All right, so if everybody can see that, just press 1 in that there old chat. Make sure you know where the chat is, because that's also where you're going to put your landing pages. All right, we see a lot of ones there. Brad, I didn't see you come in. Good to see you here, Brad. All right, so I want to get this thing started. We have a lot to cover, and the more we can get through the content, the more time we have to actually work through your pages, which I'm really excited about. So before we get in, kind of standard housekeeping, we will be recording this. It is recording. We're not going to do that one time when we forgot to record it. It's recording as it stands right now. We'll send that out probably sometime tomorrow. We'll also make sure that we send you the checklist that we use to go through these types of landing pages. So you'll make sure you get all of that from us. All right. And then other things, if you have questions, use Q&A. That is a big one because it's way easier for us to address those questions. And if it's really easy for them to get kind of lost in the chat, because the chat is a place where, one, you'll be putting your your landing pages. Two, we'll say things like, hey, press 1 in the chat every now and then your question gets lost, and then you're just going like, hey, what the heck, they ignored me. And we're not trying to ignore anybody. While we get started, so first I'll let Avi introduce himself.
Yes, so I'm Avi. Only update I have is I keep changing that icon all the time. Otherwise, I'm the same Avi. All right. And yes, my focus is, of course, InvisiblePPC and Kuvare. Those are the two agencies we work with. And both of them are primarily focused with local business marketing, right? So it's the niches, and you'll hear the word from us all the time, depending on whichever part of the world you are. It might be niche or whatever you like, right? But you get the idea. So that's our focus. All right.
Cool. And then quick about me, President Koner. I haven't changed. Same old Justin. Still wearing. I'm not as loud of a shirt as normal, but still the same old Justin. And yeah, that's my contact information.
You're in a muted shirt today. It's matching your background.
I know. Well, it's actually there's monkeys on it, so that works. It's all about the monkey business today.
Yes.
But yeah, those like LinkedIn, reach out if we're not connected there. I'd love to be connected to you. I post a lot of content there. Also email, Justin@InvisiblePPC.com. That's my actual email address. It's not that inventive, but I love to hear from everybody, and, want to make sure that you have a direct line of contact to me. Just a quick thing, a little bit about InvisiblePPC. If you're new here, InvisiblePPC is a done for you white label service only for agencies. We've been doing this whole thing for 11 years. What we do is, we build your landing pages, we set up all the ads, we optimize ad for conversion, set you the reports, and really just set you up to succeed. That's the business. That's what we've been about. In general, you know how webinars kind of go. Like, they kind of talk through all this stuff. Then there's this whole pitch. We don't have anything to pitch you right now. There's nothing like, hey, there's a limited time offer or anything there. We just want to make sure that when you are about to run ads for your clients and you need PPC support, that we want to make sure you know that we exist. So the only ask we'd really have is like, if you're needing some assistance there, just book a call with us. Book a call with Anna, and we will be there to help and support you. So I'm going to drop that right into the chat for y'all. If you've been on the fence or you want to learn a little bit more, just go do that. That said, that's it for any sort of kind of things about what we do and what pitches are. Like, it's, again, the lightest thing that you've ever seen there. So let's dig into the content. What we'll end up covering today is, what is an ultimate landing page? I know I was using a lot of marketing speak when we came up with the title for this thing, but what exactly is it? So we'll break that down and what we qualify as like a landing page that is, ultimate. But we'll also want to set some boundaries. Like, what are we going to be looking at today? If you fall kind of outside of those boundaries, there's definitely going to be things that you can learn today but it might be less applicable to you. And for that, I apologize. Components of a good landing page. We'll go through each and kind of the 4 main components that I see to be as the most important thing to any given landing page. That's far more abstract. And then we're going to go through our actual checklist of what works for PPC landing pages. And that's a brainchild of Avi's. He looked at everything we were doing in terms of like high converting landing pages and kind of just made this epic sheet. So I'm excited to share that with everybody, and we'll walk through that. And then we'll get into like kind of like the main event, which is feedback on your landing pages. I've only seen 1 come in so far, y'all. So please, please, please get those in. It is not too late. Someone said, I'm worried that this is too late. Can you get this in? Get it in. Get it in, because we want to make sure that we have plenty of time to go through these with you today. And as I said, we'll be sending the recording plus the landing page checklist. So remember, I'll say it one more time. Landing pages in, just go to the chat, drop them in. If you're feeling crazy, throw it in Q&A. It's going to be hard for me to miss it. And all that said, Avi, do you want to jump into talking a little bit about what makes an ultimate landing page?
Yes. So I'm all about, many of you know my background, and like Kuber, we use the line science of marketing. I'm all about numbers, right? So just saying, hey, this is the ultimate, it's amazing, it's great. But end of the day, landing page serves just one purpose. You want a conversion. So you say, hey, what better way than to actually define a landing page, which is what is in terms of conversion rate. So basically what we're looking for is, I do want that edited. I would say 40% is a good number, because that's what we're going to show. So it should be, Justin, should be 40. The last number should be 40%. So basically what we're saying is that in your landing page, you got to get at least double digit on conversion, right? Otherwise, it's just not very good. There's something wrong with your ad pipeline all the way to the landing page. Typical conversions we get, in our case, is 20. We do achieve 40% as a conversion rate as well, 40 plus. I mean, we'll see numbers in a minute. So basically, a really great landing page will have a conversion rate of at least 10% or more, right? And try to strive for, if you can get 40, that's great. Because do keep in mind, what does it mean, by the way? 40% means basically almost every 1 out of 2 is converting. That's amazing. You paid for the click. Most cases you're paying for the click, right? And every 1 of the 2 are converting. That means you have a very good, well-written ad, which matches really good with the landing page, and landing page has the copy is really doing well. It's doing its job to get people to sign in, right? So that's what we're trying to get, right? Just high conversion. So high conversion rate, at least double digit is what you're looking for a good landing page, right?
Yep. And we have a bunch of questions coming in here. And it always is when we're using like a kind of a term like conversion rate. What would you say, how are we defining conversion rates? And we can talk about that, I think, in our kind of us setting boundaries, but we should also talk a little bit more about that, because conversion rate can be a very kind of like loose, ethereal type term.
So because we are talking about ads and conversion rate here, this is for us and for a lot of you, the conversion rate, especially if you're talking about local service businesses, will be either a form fill or a phone call. So if you get a phone call, if the landing page has a phone number which is being tracked and being recorded, which we like all our landing pages, every call coming through should be recorded, and a form fill. So a conversion would be either a form fill and convert. That does bring up the question, in case it's not there, is, hey, some of this will be spam. Of course, we don't want to spam, so we want to count those off. But the higher level, what you're looking for is how many form fills and how many actual calls. Those are the 2 criteria for a conversion. Because beyond that, if that form fill could be a meeting setup, beyond that, what happens is kind of goes away from digital marketing. It is in the realm of sales and closing, and there are variables which we don't control. So what we are calling conversion rate is either some kind of a form fill, which could be a meeting setup, or a phone call, right?
Yep. And I think that broke that down. Some other people were like, whoa, those are really high. And that might be because they were looking at it from the perspective of not like kind of lead generation of like form fills or calls. But even still, if you're not running into kind of like these at least minimum conversion rate detectable there, that's telling you are leaving money on the table. And hopefully today, when we walk through kind of like what makes these things work, you'll be able to at least, double that. So Avi, anything else you want to talk about the ultimate landing page before we get into some ground rules?
Let's
do it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, you feel free to run through this one as well, Avi.
Oh, okay. All right. So again, this is the boundary what Justin was talking about. We will focus more so today on landing pages which are local service businesses. A lot of this general stuff will apply, but there are things in there like maps, etc. when we talk about, which is meaningless when you're talking about some other businesses, right? So a local service business with a physical location, well-defined service area, a well-defined service, and they should have a reasonable offer. And this is not category creation. This is not the landing page, man. You're trying to educate them about something which they don't know. This is the first time they've ever heard of that. Obviously, the conversion will be a lot more different for those. These are for services which are very well understood. So all you're doing is kind of selling, explaining to them why this one specific, this offer or this company is good and what they can do for you. Versus other thing is we are talking about landing. People sometimes use landing page for organic landing pages too. We're talking about the landing page which are fed from an ad. These are not the landing pages which are organic, right? It's not here, but I want to be very clear. When we talk landing pages, it's not a web organic landing page. We're talking about the landing pages. You ran an ad. After the ad, the reason these are more important, or actually very, very important in some senses, man, you paid for that ad. You paid money. You want to convert. In organic, if you missed it, fine. You might have worked hard on getting the organic. You still don't want to miss it, but it's very different. The intent is not that high in organic. Right? Here, the intent is high. And in spite of that intent, if you're not converting at double digit, there is something wrong. Right? So those are the landing pages we are talking about. Those are the ones we'll cover today.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note too, I'm just going to say it. We didn't say it here. Your landing page is not your homepage. That is not what so if you put a homepage in there, I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but if you're running ads to landing pages, to homepages, you're losing out. You're not going to have a good time. It's going to be a lot of leakage. It's not going to be a very specific type of messaging that is consistent through the journey, right? So your landing page is
a landing page will beat a homepage or a page on your website every day.
Yep.
Every day. There's only one situation you can get away using the page. It's a e-commerce product page, because e-commerce product page is effectively a landing page. Somebody search for a perfume soap and you have a page, you end up on the perfume soap, you're fine. That's different. That's the only situation I can think of where you can get away with by using existing page. Otherwise, a well-designed landing page will always beat a website. And there are many reasons, like squeeze page, people not leaving the site, and navigation. There are a lot of reasons. So you are not doing it right if you are not doing a landing page for a actual paid ad. Period. There is no exception to that, except e-commerce, as I said, special situation. All right.
Oh yeah. And then Daniel makes a really good point for e-com, especially it's depending on the keywords they're putting in. If they're putting in categories, it's a category page. It's not a product page. If it's an product, it's a product page. That's again, you're facilitating intent. So if it's coming from those types of sources, then you're just meeting them in the middle, essentially, by providing them what they want. It would be weird even if you did an interstitial landing page for an e-commerce company. That'd just be weird. And wouldn't work out all that well. Hey, JL, I see you raised your hand. Can you toss that in the chat real quick? And then we can address that, or throw it into Q&A. And we can, because my guess is it's having to do with this right here, right now. And we can get to that, and we'll move on to kind of what makes these landing pages work, how to make PPC pages fire on all cylinders. Ernest is asking, should you use landing pages versus CTA page on website for remarketing ads? I'm unsure what you're asking there, Ernest. What's the difference between a landing page and a CTA page? I have a CTA page. I'm unclear. Are you thinking that's just a standard squeeze page? If you could define CTA page, that'd be great. To answer Mary Jo, while we're still kind of setting some boundaries, should you A/B test a landing page versus organic website pages, or no, because the intent is not there?
You can test. I can guarantee the result without your testing. Website versus landing page will always win. If your customer is saying, hey, you got to do, if that's what you're talking about, right? Organic website page versus the landing page will always win. Always, always, always win, right? So you can test it. If in case your client, if in case your agency, you're working with somebody and they don't believe it, yes, just test it and you can show them that, right? Otherwise, yeah, just start with the landing page. Now, within the landing page, you should be testing quite a lot too, with multiple variations of it, right?
One of my favorite things to test on landing pages, actually, and this is kind of an aside and outside of the scope, but one of my favorite things to do with landing pages was message testing when doing pay-per-click, the message and positioning testings on landing pages, because one, you're always trying to get a higher conversion rate on your landing pages. Two, you have a lot of control over who's going to be seeing that type of messaging. And then three, you can take those learnings and then apply them across the site to see if you can see a boost in overall conversion. So I've always looked at landing pages, especially PPC landing pages, as kind of a sandbox for what you can apply later on, which is fun.
So let's address this CTA page. So a call to action page, basically a landing page is by definition call to action, the way it's being described here, right? So in general, if you're driving any traffic, organic or otherwise, you got to have something CTA on that page, right? Landing page, you paid for it, so you got to have CTA. So a landing page is, every landing page is a CTA. I mean, it's not education. It's like you want something to be done right after there, right? So
agreed.
Okay,
cool. All right, let's dig on in. So yeah, so here's a couple of examples of just some of the pages that we're getting these 40+% conversion rates on, and we shared the numbers as well, so we're not just writing a random number on the page.
Yeah, these are live, by the way, current. In fact, if you notice carefully the date underneath on those graphs, they are like, these were collected by Chin just yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. So this is up to yesterday. So this is we are actually getting this conversion right on these pages. So the reason we want to say is that because, as some of you pointed out, oh man, that number is very high. It is absolutely achievable, right?
Yep.
And we will go through what is the process we use to build the landing pages, so you can achieve these kind of numbers too if you follow that process.
Yeah, exactly.
Any questions? Any questions on that, by the way?
Any questions?
Just because that one is like a real thing. I mean, unfortunately, we cannot. I mean, as I said, we are live. We had to cover up a little bit because these are actual clients. So, I mean, if you did search hard enough, probably you'll find them. But but we did want to not kind of give away the link right now live of actual working page.
It doesn't seem like a lot of questions coming. More of a, this is awesome. Thanks for sharing. And then again, what we're going to get through today is like how to get these types of results on here. So we'll dive kind of like right into that. So I'm going to take kind of more of the abstract.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Avi.
Yeah, the forms over the fold. Actually, every one of them have form over the fold. We want the first CTA. I mean, that's a good point. Like, it's kind of required because if they are willing to close right then, there's no reason to waste time and tell them the whole story, right?
Philip, no, this isn't one of those just hire us and we'll do it. I mean, we'd love to work with anybody here, but we're
gonna give away. I mean, like the checklist and everything will be available to you.
Yeah,
you can build absolutely this. Like an example, landing pages are available from us also. So yes, of course, we love to be hired, but yes, you can do this too, right? That's the story here overall.
Yep. And then to also to lean into one more thing that Avi was talking about with the CTAs being above the fold. Yeah, that's critical. And there's two kind of like Unbounce kind of talked about this a long time ago when they talked about the zones of pages. Like you have like zone 1, which is you're above the fold. Zone 2 is immediately below the fold. Zone 3, now you're getting deeper. You generally, like, best results are when your entire CTA is above the fold, but you also don't see too much of a diminished result if your CTA, if your form or anything breaks between zone 1 and zone 2 of the fold, if there's consistency between those, right? So just something to consider. And then on mobile, and this is a great question, Chauncey, that like mobile is going to see such a high percentage of, especially in like local search, you're going to get a lot of mobile traffic. So you want to make sure that you're kind of thinking about zones in terms of swipes, right? So you want that CTA generally at that top bar of like a click to call action that's immediately there. And then if there's a form, it's broken between generally first swipe and second swipe. So you're kind of doing the standard of, what is it? What do I do next? Right? You need to get there right away. And that's when you start seeing success, especially from PPC. Cool. All right. So let's dig on in. So the components of a good landing page, from what I've seen over time, the first one that you have to really be considering here is the offer. This one is basic and simple. but to state, but hard to get right. And really, if you've nailed this, if you've sold something before in the local services space, like you're not in the content or the category creation side of things. So people need plumbers, people need dentists, people need electricians, right? So you don't have to dig too much there. It's how do you position your offer and how are you consistent in the positioning of that offer from ad to landing page. And Avi, I know you really wanted to talk about that consistency between the source to the page.
Right. So one thing which is it's difficult to put on paper, but if you can remember one thing out of this presentation, which is actually not written down, and just do that, your conversion will double from what you have right now, truly double, which is this. If you have a keyword in your ad, say it's a Google ad, and you said, metal roofing company, you better have metal roofing above the fold on your landing page.
Yep.
So this is a very, very simple thing to do. Ignore that often, like I cannot tell you how often, because what happens? Somebody sees a keyword, they clicked on it. They saw the keyword in your ad. They are expecting a confirmation on your landing page that you do the metal roof. So if you start talking about, we have been in business, 30 years in business doing roofing, and this, and for 2/3 of the page, you never mention the metal roof, you've just lost that customer, right? So if you are selling specific thing through your ad, through the ad copy, just make sure that is repeated on the landing page and preferably above the fold. And sometimes like a little bit low is okay if you're listing the services. This is the thing which is most often missed.
Yeah.
Right. Just you got to, you don't, it's not, this is a case of where the bait and switch was not intended, but it seems like bait and switch when they cannot find it. I read the ad for this and I'm not finding that freaking service on your page. You are a plumber, I know, but you didn't use, I type sewer, I don't see anything sewer. Do you work on sewers or pipes only? I want to see that word. So as I said, truly you can double in most cases if you're not doing that by just fixing this problem. We see this so often when we get clients. Right?
Yeah, that's the big one. And that's really all about kind of both the offer and the articulation of the offer. Articulation requires consistency, right? So when you're cultivating an offer, and the great thing about PPC landing pages is that you have a lot of control over the targeting, right? You have control over what they're looking, you know what they're looking for. Kind of know where they are in the customer journey. If someone's doing a product or solutions level type search, where they're searching for like plumber near me or dentist near me, that they're at that problem stage where they just need that solution, right? So you know where they are in the selling journey. So you're able to craft an offer that's simple enough for them to like, hey, just get in touch with me. Or if you're like first time customers, get X% off or $20 or so, however you do it to kind of get them to like grease the wheels. But in general, you might not have to because you're meeting them at that level of the journey. And then that articulation that Avi's talking about, it's like, do they understand what you're doing? And part of that understanding is, are they able to anchor where they came from to where they are? That is what's unbelievably, it's overlooked because people think, they clicked on this thing, so let's just kind of keep talking about like the next steps, where you always need to draw back to the last step. And the easiest way to do that is utilizing things like keywords in your copy that they use to click. And yeah, you can do that at scale. So Anand had asked the question, is there ability to do that type of like keyword personalization on landing pages? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
That's almost table stakes for most landing page software at this point.
Yeah. And there was a question somewhere that, hey, which landing page platform should you use?
Yeah.
I would say that, hey, just find the right one for your price point. Depending on, in our case, if you want to know what we use Swipe Pages. One of the reasons is we have our number of landing pages is huge. So we have to consider, right, which at a high volume, which terms are cheaper. Most of the landing page softwares are pretty good. So, they each have a little bit of different way of doing it. Other thing is you do want some way of having some kind of a heat mapping. We use Crazy Egg. You could use any. In fact, Justin has.
It kills me we use Crazy Egg because I created software for it.
Yeah.
Use that.
Before in past life, he's done, heat maps. As one of the company founders, that's what he was on. but we use Crazy Egg, but you could use, there are others which are there. Crazy Egg price point wise works out well and does everything. So the heat map and a landing page platform is important. Don't try to build a landing page on your website. It's possible to do a subdomain on your website and build it. There'll be always speed issues and other issues because all the landing page companies, they have optimized their platform just for that, for landing page reasons. So that's all I can say. Just use any one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, great stuff there. I like that. I like that advice of like most landing page tools are kind of all the same at this point. Pick the ones that work for you, and then and the ones that like maybe you just like a little bit better. Like Swipe Pages has a decent user interface for us, so it works for us. It's easy to train on.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'll move on to the next one. I never thought I'd ever no. So this is targeting. Targeting we don't have to talk too much about here. Targeting is making sure that you're getting the right offer in front of the right people. Like I was saying, overall, like since this is PPC, like you have a lot of control over this type of targeting. This gets a little bit more tricky when you get out of that side of things, but you want to make sure that you are spot on in your messaging. So in that articulation for the audience you're going after, because so if you're giving them a non-relevant non-relevant landing page, or you're saying a different keyword, or you're too generic, you're going to see a diminished conversion rate there. Your targeting, your articulation is not meeting the targeting there. And then finally, in terms of the kind of like the more higher level concepts before we dig in to the checklists, and I never ever in a million years thought I'd be saying like design is critical. If everybody's seen me design anything, it's not great. I can barely even draw like a square well enough, but design is a huge aspect of things. I'm not saying it needs to be the most beautiful thing. So when I'm saying design, it's not like aesthetics, right? I'm not talking aesthetics. When I talk about design, I'm talking about the elements that are on the page, and all elements are meant to do is articulate the answer, articulate information. So they're providing information via different mediums. So it's the elements on the page and then the sequence in which those elements are shown. That's what I mean by design. So obviously you don't want to have a janky design that looks like it was made in someone's basement and you can't trust them. Like quality design does build trust, but you don't need to try to win some type of like advertising award with this. You need to make sure that you have the right elements that are articulating the right message in the right sequence. That's what I mean by design when I say that.
Yep. And only thing I'll add there is I don't know the author. The book is called Don't Make Me Think.
Oh, yeah. I think is that Eisenberg?
I don't know. I have
no. He had Waiting for a Cat to Bark. It might be him.
Yeah, it's a great book. Basically, it says is that hey, when you go to a page, don't make them. One of the simple things is like sometimes you have a block and a heading. Sometimes the heading of the block is too much higher from the text block, so it's difficult within microseconds to know this heading belongs to this block. So you don't want the floating headers. So he talks about these kind of things. So that aspect of design, you got to get it right because you don't want to make it hard for them to read. Other one is which I push all the time, uppercase letters. Here you got 4 words. It's easy to read. If you got a long sentence, you put it in all uppercase, they will not be able to read. Especially if you use a paragraph, all uppercase just to emphasize. When you emphasize everything, nothing is emphasized. Just keep that in mind, right? If you make everything bold, then nobody's reading. I mean, because just it's block, it's hard. So those are the kind of things, those are the design aspects I consider are important, and you should consider those for sure. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. So any questions about kind of these top 4 kind of more theoretical things that make a good landing page before we dive into the actual kind of checklist?
Yeah.
All right. I don't see any too much people. It was Steve Krug. Thank you, Anand, for that.
Yeah. By the way, I really appreciate the chat. You guys are actually giving out free, keep doing that, right? Examples of Microsoft Clarity. So a lot of platforms being discussed. So you can just look through the chat and collect your own few heat maps software to try, landing page softwares. Go ahead and put in what landing page software or platforms you've been using. Rest of you guys, what do you like? Absolutely, because this is great. It's like as together we can help each other, like saying what all you use. Unbounced has been there forever. Unbounced and Hotjar has been kind of the standard, but because of that, some ways they're not the best, in my opinion. They become expensive and they just do their stuff their own way. And Unbounced does not allow you multiple domains. If you're working with it, becomes very expensive if you're dealing with hundreds of domains, etc. So there is a yeah. And thank you, Owen, for posting that. Don't make me think. It's amazing, right? That book. So thank you for posting what software you're using. Unbounce for sure, and Hotjar has been the kind of the gold standard to measure by. But you know what happens with the gold standard eventually in the industry? Somebody else comes around and does something a little better. That's what we feel. Yeah.
What Mary Jo was saying, Hotjar has changed because I was competing in that industry for so long. Hotjar has changed. They went more for, I mean, they still do heat maps, but they were trying to do more on the side of active data collection, so surveys and those types of things, where I was always way more interested in the concept of passive user data. Like, what are they telling you by not telling you? So yeah, very cool stuff.
So somebody mentioned GHL, and we get this question quite a lot. And I do have a slide ready. So Justin, if I can share my screen for a second.
Go nuts.
Because this is relevant to the level where we get asked this quite a lot. So the question is, hey, I have GHL for my client. Should I just use GHL for landing pages? You guys can see my screen? This looks okay?
Yep, I see it.
Yeah. So basically, what we did was we said, let's put head to head the landing page software which we use versus so only place we found is, I don't know why, in Australia, it seems like GHL is faster, but basically higher is better here. If you notice consistently in every situation, we basically took the same page, build it on 2 servers and measure these metrics for them, right? So both cases, the performance-wise, consistently, we found this one was better, and the page speed, which is probably the load time chart, lower is better. Again, the swipe pages, except again Australia, something is going on there. I don't know why, what with swipe pages. Yeah, but otherwise, where we care about US, etc., it always beats. So I bet we didn't do this with other landing page platforms. I bet it's the same story with most of the good landing page platforms, right? Because GHL is like, hey, we partner with them. Justin speaks there to their every event. We use it with our clients, absolutely. But when it comes to if you want the fastest landing page, it's still good landing page software. So I want to not say that you can build any kind of a landing page in GHL, but I would, if I was really going for highest performing landing page, GHL will not be the place to build it, right? Yeah, take it away. Because this question comes up quite a lot.
I loved. So Brad, we're not saying GHL sucks, but they do leave something to be desired in the loading department there. Oh, it does. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You got it. You got it. All right. Let me share my screen again, and we'll dig in, and I'll let you get to work through your brainchild here, Avi.
All right. So what we did was, so this is like when we're trying to do a landing page, we kind of said, because we do so many of them, right? So we needed not only a structured checklist, we also needed a structure which can be repeatable, right? As InvisiblePPC serving so many clients again and again. So this is how I kind of build it. Like and this is available to you, by the way. It's a checklist. At the same time, it's actually the visual structure for you also. That's what it should be. And all our landing page you will notice, and we have tested so many, they follow exactly the same format. You can change the color, design, and everything, but here it is. The header is basically some logo, whatever the logo, or sometimes some don't have a logo, and the name of the company. You kind of do need that. That's the only place actually you need to have the name of the company. You don't have to worry about repeating it inside the page. That's one of the other common mistakes. Clients love to see their own name on their own landing page all over the place. Unless you're Nike or Coca-Cola or other brand like that, which I'm sure that's not the ones we are dealing with, nobody knows you. That's not the important part. They clicked on an ad for a plumber. They want to know what plumbing service you do versus your name again and again. And this is a paid ad. They need to fill the form. This is not organic where they just need to remember your name. I don't care if you remember the name. I want your phone number. I want the form filled. For that, you need to talk the language which matters to the person who clicked on it, right? So the logo and business name, phone CTA, you will see all our landing pages following this format again and again and again. It's simple, right? And we kind of put it a checkbox that you better have that right. Then an image with a headline and subheadline. In subheadline, we quite often use if it is a localization. And there was a question earlier, can you change the landing page dynamically? So one of the great examples would be, your best plumber in Austin, Texas, and Austin, Texas could be changing depending on Round Rock, Texas, right? I'm in Austin, so I'll use the examples from here, or Dripping Springs. So those could be dynamically changing in the second line, if you will. So we usually say the first line is exactly what service you do. Second line can be the area description, especially for service ones. But it could be just enhancing the first line. So those after that, we almost always have a checklist of services or things which matter. These are the USPs and whatever is very, very important. So that's the section goes there, right there. And this is where I was talking about. If this page is for specific ad, those keywords, this is the place you should be stuffing those keywords in those phrases, right? And don't write complete sentences. Don't write history of the thing. I think one thing which might be not on the checklist, and it should be, because some things for us are kind of second nature. One of the things I talked about uppercase, for example, and the design you mentioned, we don't have design in checklist. And there are things like that which we don't have in checklist. I just lost my train of thought. There is one other thing which will come to me as we go through the checklist, because we just do it naturally. Some things so the USP bar, always specifically what they are good at. The offer is right on top. By the way, offer is very important. Here, there is a little bit of difference. This offer need not be that unique. It can be a standard offer. If they clicked on the ad, a reasonable offer is fine. So unlike an offer where you're trying to really make an e-commerce sale by making, hey, 3 free if you buy one, it's not that kind of an offer. You need
doing the Hermosi type offer of like, we'll give you everything, this, that, otherwise, and give till it hurts.
And there is more. It's not one of those offers, right? So it's a basic offer, but it needs to be offer. In fact, if you do go to our Smart Niche page, we actually give out the list of offers we found for each of the niches which work well, right? So a reasonable get free online estimate today, even though this is an example from us, is probably not the best offer because everybody does that, right? So in this page, this offer is probably not the best, because something if everybody does, if you really cannot do anything, it's okay to say that. But really, if everybody's doing free estimate, now I guess, no, I'm sorry. This is a free online estimate. So this is a little better because there is a little calculator which will give you the estimate. That's okay because you get it immediately, right? Versus we will visit you and give you a free estimate. That's kind of everybody does that, right? So there's little value here probably. So that's the offer. Then let's talk about, then immediately we want to get into your services. So what are we trying to do? You clicked on the ad, you immediately, it came to me, this thing which is not written down here, it's very important. Look at your landing page, to all of it, and check for words like me, we, us, versus you, your service, and others. And ratio should be, if possible, I like to go to 1:10. Rarely say we. We do this, we do that, we this. And that's a tendency from clients. We've been in business 36 years. I don't care. That comes later. Can you do what I want? I clicked on an ad for, I have a sheet metal roof. I want that. Can you do that first? Then I'm going to check out your credentials, right? So if you wasted time explaining to me your 30 years and all, I might have, in that 2 seconds, I'll leave that page and go click on next ad. And you lost the client. So it's very important. So you will see the order, the way we go, we follow that. We tell them what we do right there up front. There's a place for them to fill a form right after what other services, because it's possible they might not have thought of other services. There might be other kind of this is flooring material. They might said vinyl planks, but they might realize, oh, there's the other planks. I might find it interesting. That's the place to put the other services right there, right? So after services, we go into immediately, what have we told them? That, hey, we can do what you wanted for, what you clicked for. Then immediately we're going into testimonials. Why? Social proof. Right? These guys can do what I want. And by the way, people like them for doing it. Immediately testimonials. Say, we have not talked about the company yet. Because by saying, instead of testimonial, if I say, I've been in business 30 years, great, big deal. I want others to tell me, right, that how good you are. Then at that point, hopefully you have convinced them. And there is a CTA bar continuously. So somebody was talking about CTA page. If you look at it, there's CTAs all over this place, right? They keep appearing continuous at every point. And then about the company. So this is about the company. And again, other aspect which might be not written down as a list. I'm a big fan of bullet points, no big paragraphs at all. And that's one thing, at least coming from engineering world, I was happy that you don't have to, you can do marketing without writing big paragraphs. That pleases me. Don't want to write big thesis here. You want smaller phrases, not full sentences. All right. So about the company also, they might give you a paragraph, but it's easy to break it down to bullet points and all, because people are scanning, they're not reading everything. And if they see phrases, it's easy to scan. This is based on research and science that people scan. And if you separate them in paragraphs and lines, they can easily scan the keywords, right? Right after that, because it's a local business, we are emphasizing, yeah, we are local. Even though we said it on the top, you can see us on the map, right? And so that's where the map comes in. We have tried a trick which you can try depending on the platform you are in. Interactive map versus a image map, which you click and interactive comes up. The idea was that if you do an image, it'll load faster. An interactive one actually adds some load time, but the difference was so minuscule, at least whenever we found on our platform, at least. We go with the live map. But if you are having difficulty because the load time is higher because of the map, so this is a trick you can use. Take a screenshot, put that in there, and then when they click, they don't know any better. When they click, a pop-up appears and the map shows up in there. So that's a trick to reduce the load time and still work with the maps, right? And eventually, of course, business hours, copyright, and privacy policy is required. So no magic there, right?
Yeah.
And so the testimonial can be 3x2, 3x3. So we kind of you use this template, you can build any landing page for anything. We've even gone to the level to go 3x3, 3x2, and how we break this up, right? Any questions on this before we get into details of the checklist? Because this is the structure checklist.
Nothing so far. Looks like we can move on.
All right, awesome, great. So this is more to emphasize that you better got the CTA above the fold. So, and you don't want to put the plus sign. If there's a plus sign is with the phone number, sometimes you use a plus sign because it's international. You don't want all that because you want local, right? And it should be clickable directly. It's obvious. Every screen full should have a CTA, right? So it's like, think of Ford, next one, they're going to scroll down. So there should be a CTA. This is my pet peeve, and I pushed it even with that. So, and I cannot prove it because beyond the psychology of this one, but I've read on it and I felt I agree with it. Dashes imply negativity. So if you use the bullet points or use plus sign, don't use the dash, right? It's like, so when you use a plus sign, you're saying they have this too. Yes, plus this, plus this, plus this. So that's a great way of doing bulleting, or check marks, right? Yes, yes, yes. That's how they're reading it. When you put negative, it almost implies maybe they don't have it. There is a possible scenario purely how it is perceived, right? Of course, the text should be easily readable. It's obvious, right? Use contrast. You can just go all the way to 60s and read Ogilvy and everybody telling you that, right? So nothing new there. We prefer not using many font types. This is one of the things where designers can go crazy. You don't want to use too many font types, right? You might use more, font sizes, as you see, no more than 4 font sizes, because as soon as the page appears there, your eye gets used to knowing this is a heading and this is subheading. If you put so many sizes, then you don't get used to that thing quickly. And then it becomes like you cannot scan through fast. So by reducing the number of sizes, you are training the eye to kind of say, hey, this is my heading, this is subheading, this is how you read it. This one I pointed out, no sentences with all uppercase letters because they will be very difficult to read quickly. All buttons should have a hover action. It's obvious, it's a UI thing. So in the bottom, whenever you click on contact us, it's a link to the form. It just takes you back to the same form. We want to just use not different forms, same form. So wherever we just use many call to actions, but they all go to the same form. Of course, the other one is, this is how we make it custom for the client. The colors and themes just go and match with brand. There are times where brand colors are so bad, the contrast is not there. Then we introduce a third color or so. But most of the times we can just get away with by using exactly the brand colors, right? Look at the brand site. Of course, page should still look professional, not kind of just be put together. And that's not very hard. If you just start with the original design and Canva or something, you will get pretty professional page. Form, we already talked about, should stand out and above the fold. This is very important. Images should add to the page, not distract from the content. Please do not get images which are so intricate and so amazing. They will not read your text. They will just be drawn in the image. A too good an image is a bad thing. So image which helps with the message, if it's a block diagram or something, it's great. But if image is so fancy and so intricate, they're going to just be drawn into the image so much. They're not the reality. We want them to read the message and take the action. So we don't want to distract with the images. This is a tendency with somebody who comes from very, very design world, who wants to make, amazing page and win awards, right? I mean, like, hey, in our kind of marketing, we say the day we start winning, advertising awards is the time we stop marketing. We want to win customers, not awards, right? So finally, the navigation, we do, some are obvious here, because I do want to leave time for our doing the reviews, right? Map locations is correct and browsable, obvious, privacy policy correct. So we kind of made checklists for everything, said everything is there. So you can make sure that it'll work. Like, let's move on to the next slide. Yeah, nothing.
Will do.
Yeah, right. The content. So I think we talked in general about it. You guys will have this list. So, and it's obvious. So let's not talk about this, because I think it'll be more fun looking at.
Yeah, we should start looking. I want to make sure we have time for that.
Yeah.
Everybody, we'll be sending the checklist. We kind of talked about all these. Less is more. Absolutely. Form should short, but yep, perfect there. And yeah, let's move to the next one. Technical. Anything you want to cover there on the technical side? Because we don't really get.
Yeah, this is much more of a checklist of making sure simple things like, hey, form fill. Check the form fill before you go live, right? And people forget this. Yeah, tracking. If you got tracking, just go and check it. So we've given you that list, that those things should be there, so you just don't miss it, right? And that's how we do it, our pages, right? Check the load time and things like that, right? Okay.
Exactly. Great. So, all right, this is the time.
Yes.
The time you've all been waiting for. And normally Avi knows my style for like building presentations. I have like way too many slides and all these other. I tried going like a lot less on the slides this time around, but we still went quite long. I'm going to do this in the order that we got them in. Eric, actually, you got yours in. You sent me a personal message, and then you also put it there. So you get to go first. 1 second. Let me do this. So I'll throw this. Oh, it is not working. Set up. Right. Let me see. I'll pick somebody else while you get me that. So let's go to. We have a free audit. This is for a SaaS product, so it might not be exactly. Oh, great. Perfect. Avi, can you see the page?
Yeah.
So all right, really short, really simple.
Yeah. The first is, it's kind of less of a landing page versus actually a full page. That giveaways from the menu. Right? So the landing pages, we say, hey, stay away from the menu, because as soon as you give them menu, they want to read more, and you have taken away, you want their email address, you want them to take an action, right? So here they will basically browse around. So if you wanted to convert this landing page for a minute, let's assume this was converted to landing page, get rid of the menu from top, right? And just kind of convert that to something, and then claim a free audit or business for your business. Okay. It might help if you say a little bit more what kind of marketing audit it is, right? Basically, that sentence should immediately tell them what this is about. But yeah, you could say marketing audit is a marketing audit, right? And then there is explanation, exact steps to win more customers. For no cost, you'll receive. That's actually all good on the left side. That what you get. And yeah, I think then is there more scroll down?
Nope, it goes right down to a.
So you could again. So the landing pages, the purpose of the repeats is you could repeat now the detail of whatever else you want, because there are people who like to read more, so it's for them. Otherwise, this is pretty straightforward. We don't unless chat is a major part of it on a landing page. We don't want chat. We don't want to chat with anybody. We just want your phone number and email address, right? But there are times where we do chat is the way to get it. That's great. Then use the chat bot, right? So the big thing here would be the navigation, I would say, will be the thing. Other would be the mobile, by the way. I mean, Justin, you want to try F12 and see what it does?
Yeah, let me see if I can take a look at it on mobile. Let me do this real quick. Inspect. There we go.
Okay. So the mobile is, mobile is the layout of the mobile is completely fine.
That seems fine.
Said that image border feature is a lot of it. That does not add, it probably is logo, but doesn't add that much to this whole thing.
Yeah.
In fact,
it also looks kind of odd in terms of like with the black background on that as well. Not to get over picky on some of those things, but when you have like it looks like something's broken, and one of the problems is if something looks broken like on the page or is perceived as such, it's gonna there's gonna be both conscious and unconscious kind of reactions to that. So just something to consider there.
Yeah, you could just get away with just using that triangle logo and put text underneath bolder future. That might that might take away from this thing. Claim a free marketing audit. Off your.
I think a few things I have here that I just want to point out. The CTA, I know it's high enough, but it's in a weird spot. It's kind of in between your headline and your kind of sub headline and those things. What I'd probably do is I'd cut down on kind of like the height of the navigation bar here. I would make probably the image one should be clickable. That would also ping this to happen. So I'd always make that image clickable. Some people are going to click it. What I would do is I'd keep this as a simple type of landing page where you have claim a free or get your free, claim a free, whatever, with the sub headline under that, with the button moved under the image to borrow the image's authority. So both the button and the image are clickable, at least on desktop. On mobile, you have the right idea. You have the thing like right there. Do you want this thing? Claim it. But this is getting lost in here. It just seems like it's in the wrong spot.
And the other thing with the CTA is that on one hand, I think your main thing you want them to get is marketing audit, because you'll get the bonus ebook. You're trying to sell too many things at that point. Now it's confusing the messaging. That do you want them to get the bonus ebook or you want to get them the audit? I think you want them to get the audit because you get more info. So that might be something not to do. Or that could be on a next fold and say, you also get a bonus ebook if you do this, right? Something like that, right? In the next screen. What do you think, Justin, on that?
Yeah, no, I think keeping it simple. You don't want to go and then, especially for a free. It's a free audit, so there's not a whole lot to have to try to like freeze. Kind of good enough at that point. Okay, cool. We have a lot of pages. I don't know if we'll be able to get through all of them. So, we'll see what we can do.
We can stay a little longer, for people.
Yeah, we'll stay a little bit longer to do this, but let's get to the next one. So we'll actually get Eric's on here. Okay, so this is it is a landing page. All right, so this is a free estimate page. Avi, we can take a look at that if you want to start evaluating while I keep grabbing all of these.
Work with one of the best moving companies in Texas. Okay, so I'll use what Justin has this line on somewhere he posted on LinkedIn. I'd never heard of that before. It was great. It says most of the time, if you have two lines, if you swap the lines, you do better. So in this case, you're emphasizing the stress more than what you do. So if you swap that and say, it's really, they need to know this is coming from some kind of a ad or something, if it is a landing page, right? So it's a moving company. So removing stress is great, but you starting with removing stress, which does not tell me immediately when I came from the ad, did I land on a moving company site, right? So changing that order and putting that first is what my recommendation would be, right? Will help you move safely and stress-free.
That's reiterating the factor there. I'd probably just keep it work with one of the best moving companies in Texas. And then just our trusted license, those versus kind of going there.
And a 5-star, if you're going to do 5-star, just put stars there. Visually, it's faster to read 5 stars than actually say unforgettable 5-star moving experience, right? So that's the little bit of a wordsmithing there. Otherwise, it's good because you have above the fold. You could have done the fold in such a way that it shows a little bit of what Justin was talking about, bleeds into the next fold, right? So if you fold, everything was moved a little bit, and they could start saying there is more, because there is a tendency people think this is all it is.
Yeah.
Because this is a complete in itself. So they don't want to scroll anymore. Right.
You want to break the fold with the next section so that people don't think it's a like a one section page. It's a strategy we use across the board. And then Matt Brooks brings up a good thing too. Motion background can be a little much for people. And I know that gets down to aesthetics, but I think I've tested this a couple of times, like at Digital Marketer, at some of the other side of things as well, where it's like, man, like anytime we use motion and stuff, it always just tanked. Where
if you really wanted to use motion, slow it down quite a lot. Yeah. Like it's like barely happening. So that way there is something happening without. Yeah.
I do like kind of if you're starting to see how he's doing it though, like there is a cleanness to the page. And it does follow a solid structure. It's kind of going, here's our offer, proof of what we're doing. Now it's getting into why now with kind of the ask there, which is smart. And we'll kind of keep scrolling down. And Avi, feel free to tell me stop if you have.
Generally, this is a well-built landing page.
Yeah.
Design-wise, looks like well put together, colors match, and those kind of aesthetic things. Again, there's like no perfect way to do it, but that part is great. The reviews, they start, there are, can we scroll up? These are great reviews, but they seem to be coming a lot later, is the only thing I would say, right? And you kind of, and if they're coming later, you can really have that many. Otherwise, if you're coming earlier, you will not be able to get away with this many. That's one of the problems, right? Because you want to get to the next section. But that's probably okay in this case,
And then, then it gets right down to the bottom.
Yeah. So that's the other feedback I would have is I would want the reviews earlier because you made the case of what you are. I want to know this. Maybe even after once you have said what you do, just go after that with the reviews, because like you told them what you do, you want to know why them. If they didn't come to reviews, they left, then you kind of lose it. But this is a pretty good landing page in general.
Yeah.
I mean, any numbers you can share on the conversion rate on this? Because by the way, one of the landing pages we shared was 40% conversion rate, is a moving company in Australia. So I don't know if you guys realize that or not. One of the three we shared, one of them was with 40 plus conversion rate, was a moving company. Justin, I don't know if you knew that part.
Oh, I didn't realize that was the case.
So it's exactly, So is there an answer on that? What kind of conversion rate are you getting?
No, he's not. I'm not seeing if he put in. He said low, approximately 10%.
Yeah. So we are getting 40% on that one for sure. And that's a moving company. And now it's in Australia, so there's a little bit difference, but probably in general, Okay.
Cool. All right, let's get another one in here. All right. There we go. All right, Canadian standard. Let me just see how long the page is before. Okay. Avi, you want to take this one?
Yeah, there is something off in the design. There are dots around the box, which they make it look like hastily put together. Under free estimate, do you see that, Justin, also?
Yeah. No, it's they used a like almost it is like kind of dotted, almost like coupon things that people would do on like old school offer pages.
Yeah. But what it is making look like is instead that, hey, this was not put together well professionally. That's all. I mean, you could have changed the background or something, but that's one thing which stands out immediately. Otherwise, the logo is good. Great. Phone number is straight. You could put call now or something on that number if you wanted to, but it's obvious otherwise. Get low price on windows and patio covers replacement this September. The lowest price on. So offer is like get the lowest price. It's not a clean offer, right? You're just saying that you'll be cheaper than others, right? So a more clear offer would be better. Durham, get free installations and free premium upgrades. Okay, so the first thing here I have issue with is, can you scroll up? Did I miss it?
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys do till you say free installation, just pay for Windows. There is no sentence yet saying install Windows, get the best Windows or something. That is missing the business. Instead, it says free upgrades and everything. But I'm going to just read the headlines first, right? If I came here, it's not obvious that what are you selling, right? So just a line before it says get free installation, but of what? right?
Yeah.
Premium upgrades. Then you have to read through, and then you say, oh, there is Windows somewhere, so must be Windows, right? So that's the first thing. The name, phone number, email, city. I agree to terms. Okay, that's all good. Valid under September 31st. That's okay. And then scrolling down, why choose Canadian standard? Okay, the justification.
And then because you're kind of doing it, and you're doing the same thing with these drop downs as you are with what you're trying to do here.
Yeah.
So you might not need the FAQ.
Yeah. I would not do drop downs. Nobody has time to open drop downs, and if they miss it, then you go.
They say like the best place to hide a body is on page 2 of Google. The second best place is in your drop downs on your landing page. Without a doubt.
Yeah. So customer reviews. I would move after you explain the product, reviews. I'm a big fan of. By the way, if it is reviews, if it is Google reviews, put the Google logo and stars.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and if it is internal reviews, you can make up your own stars. Don't put Google because that's visually immediately tells them that it's a good review. Project gallery. So project gallery here is more useful if it is a Windows thing than others. So that could come earlier. So if something is visually pleasing, it explains what you do. So that can, if you do project galleries and then you do testimonials, that's what I would like, basically. Hey, this is what we do, and we do it well.
Yeah.
Right? Versus all the text above explaining how all that is done, right? That immediately tells them what this is about.
In addition to that, you'll probably want to use, instead of just what the after state is, what was the before? Yeah. So show progress. If you can show that'll win. A few other points here. I think we still have we might not, there's a lot. We might not be able to get through all of these. Maybe Avi, you and I can shoot some quick videos for these after and then share, because I want to be respectful of everybody's time as well. So a few things just in terms of visuals. You'll notice you'll notice on our landing pages, one of the things that we do is you had that header, then you had kind of the darker background. You don't need this here, this section here. This is the section that should likely be in this. And then what you don't run into is this weird, bleeding factor that's going on. So one thing that's important is the lightest parts of the page are going to draw the eye first every time. So you want your most important content in the lightest color. So the most important content for you here is the actual call to action, drawing them to the action state, right? So what I would do is I would put this, if I were to change nothing about the content, and Avi had lots of great stuff that you should change anyways. But if you put this stuff with this background behind it, this will show so much better, and it'll just be a more logical setup to position.
Keep the form white. Yeah, keep the fields white, right? It'll be obvious.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, cool. Absolutely agree. So I think that's what we might have to do. If you send us the
I think we do one. Let's do one or two more live, and then I'll look through the chat, and then we'll do an individual video for each one that came in, and then we'll send them. Then obviously we can also throw it in for our partners as well. We throw in the partner portal, but we can email it to the people that that did it. I think that's cool.
All right.
So let's do one or two more, and then we'll knock it out.
Let's do this one. Okay. Why choose Vanish advanced vein treatments? Okay. So it immediately gets into why choose the vein treatments, kind of why them. Before that, again, I'm going to say, just people assume that people coming here know what you offer. So just a line saying best, advanced vein or best vein treatments or something like that on top. If somehow introduce them, they immediately need to know that's what this is about, right? So instead of why choose and this kind of mouthful, and they're getting to that, and then you could still do the same thing after that, right? Then rest of it you could still do that. Here, this will be a perfect example of where I would say you could do check. When you're saying why, like you were trying to make positive points, the check marks work really well because they emphasize we do this too, we do this too, we do this too, right? So that's one. And
so these are all clickable that go down to the different sections.
Okay.
Just as a point.
Yeah. The other aspect is, if whenever possible and it's wordsmithing, try to make them like sentences, kind of parallel structures on top, so they fit in one line. And sometimes you cannot like instead of 2 lines kind of a thing, or they are all 2 lines.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just playing with the words to get it visually look like they're matching and parallel. From symptoms. Oh, yeah.
Right,
See, you have that line there. Get lasting relief from your vein symptoms.
Yeah,
That should be
that needs to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the headline.
That's your headline. Because that's what they came for. And you just started explaining the other stuff and they just don't get that till later. So that's the headline.
Yep.
So
that defines the what immediately. And it's said so succinctly here.
Yeah.
Then they have located at kind of right up at the top.
Yeah. And as was pointed out, V, you could turn each of the V statement to U statement. By the way, a lot of times you can say, we do this, and we instead of say, you get this, you get this, you get this. So you can turn it around that way, right? Yeah. You get cutting edge vein therapy technique. You get this, right? So you turn it around instead of R. Yeah. So that's avoiding the V part, Meet our doctor.
They're getting into about, so here's the advanced treatment. So that's differentiator, like more about us, our advanced treatments. Here's our doctor.
Yeah. So for, I don't know if whose it is. If it is Google Ads, you have to get permission to run Google Ads to this. Facebook, you might be able to get away with it because it is this is medical treatment.
I think this is Brad's, I think. So my get, and I know they're above board on all that stuff when it comes to the compliance side of things.
Okay.
Then here's, okay, so you're getting testimonials.
Yeah, the testimonials are not hard to read, not clear.
Yep.
So they could get better treatment there, like how they're placed there.
Yeah, and for me, the biggest thing is it's just it's the order in which things are kind of coming up.
So yeah, this is the other one, by the way. This is purely for medical things. It's an understood known fact. Even though you're treating something ugly pictures are not a good thing to have. This is one of those situations versus when it comes to actual aesthetics, it's kind of, you have to be careful what you do with those because people just get put off. This is enough. You can search on this on internet, you'll find why. So you have to somehow get it across and still, so before and after, when it comes to certain things work very well, but certain things, if they really don't look that great, sometimes can work against you. This is especially true in medical field. So something to watch out for, right? And this might be A/B test thing too. That try different pictures.
Yeah, that can be a testing. They might have seen that, like, hey, people want to like see those types of things.
Suggestion of drawing is great. Just draw out and show because it's kind of people don't.
I think this one's done well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This one is not. Yeah. Exactly. Because the explaining, and you could still do after pictures which are really perfect, everything, and draw that these are the kind of things explaining. But this one does work fine. Yeah. So keep that in mind, right?
Yep.
All right.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll my big things on this, I think, and then kind of the bigger takeaways.
Can you click on the schedule today? What happens?
Yep. I'm opening FaceTime. So that is that. I think they used the same. It's the telephone number on schedule today.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a little confusing, by the way.
Yeah.
So call today, like you might have want to change.
And if you likely want it to have that, because my guess is the intention might have been to get it to drop down to here.
Yeah. Just with the anchor tag getting down here.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably be better for that.
Yeah, that'll probably work. But yeah, I think this page is suffering from suffering sounds so dramatic, but what it's suffering from in this case is just it's a prioritization. It's a content prioritization, or content sequencing issue on here. I think the first step is make sure you're saying what it is, then utilize those differentiating factors, turn we statements into our statements, and then make sure when you're looking at the page, it follows a logical sequence in terms of either the questions that people are going to have on the top of their while they're going through it, or the objections they might have. And what you want to do is try to anticipate those with the sequences that you're doing there. So that's my big thing there. I mean, it's a clean page. I think you just need to tighten up some of those sequencing issues. And then some of the other stuff that Avi had shared, in terms of imagery, making sure that these are easy to read.
Yeah. So these are what when Justin was talking about design, this is a level of design to fix, right? Yeah. It's not like, hey, you need an amazing design, but there are a few things here. It seems like even this, the way it's cut off, right? It's not obvious. It seems like, oh, somehow they messed it up, right? Yeah. So that's what it is. Yeah, by the way, sorry if some of these sounds a little brutal. We're just trying to help. Hopefully here. It's not, this is how we see it, kind of a thing.
Yeah. All right. I think we can do one more. And then let me make sure I'm deleting the ones that we've done from my list. And we did stand windows, you're gone. And then we will get into, let's do this one.
Hey, we might want to do a next office hour session or something. Just
this, yeah, that's what I did last office hour section on too. Like, I think this is a winner.
Yeah. So we can do more office hours where we don't do any presentation or anything. You can just get that separately, but we just kind of critique your pages. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great. Cool. All right. So we have this. This is for it looks like in York, it's for self-storage.
Yeah. Secure self-storage in York. So I like it's clear as soon as you come there, award-winning secure self-storage in York. It tells you where it is.
What awards do they win? Sorry, like it's more.
I don't know about that. And then sites at location local. So you don't need the sites at location in a landing page. You don't need those words. You just need those comma separated those places, the names, right? You can just put the names because you're making them like, don't make me think, right? You're making them read this extra, which does not help them. Just by the names with separated commas would have been enough, and they'll know, okay, they're here, right? In these areas. So that's think in those terms. Otherwise, great. Call now. You have the number on top, and you have it here again, repeated. Probably okay.
Yeah, that's probably fine.
Separation, a header separation for the call as a bar will help this, I think. You scroll up, like on the top, right? That bar, if it was on its own, because aesthetically, it's like a design move to put it on part of the image, but usability point of view, having it on a separate bar, the header makes it easier to stand out, right? Something to consider.
Yeah.
Okay. So request a quote, 8 weeks for price of 4.
And then happy customers. So good, jump right into reviews. Okay.
Yeah.
I like
by the way,
the
other thing, keep this in mind in reviews also. If you have a very long review, you can just use dots and take out some portions of the review and just selectively put things. Because again, the same problem, who's going to read the whole thing? But if you have few, and you can also highlight portions of the review also, just something which is like a positive words, you just highlight with, just make them bold if you want. So that's one way to get attention, basically.
Yeah, remember, people don't like reading, especially like at this level. Like there's people that they're looking for storage near them, and they want to hear what they're trying to do is make sure that y'all don't like suck.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And then
why choose? Great. I like how they break this down.
Yep. It's great.
And then nice.
No. So the only
that's smart.
And the request quote in the end. Okay. Yeah. That's just completely fine.
And then so this is the spot. And are these all anchor? We'll check. Yeah. Okay. They all anchor.
They are just doing what.
And then boom. Yeah. I mean, this is a solid page. I think there's a few things you can critique there. I think up here, it's like Avi said, like you can break up kind of this header section.
So keep that in mind, that an artist will tell you that when you have these images, which are on 2 sections, they make it look nice. Oh, it flows together. It's like a great page. If you printed a flyer, this will look amazing. That's all great. But in a landing page, it's you're following in order. So separating in breaks help process the information. So just think of that. This is not a flyer you're printing and putting it up there, which will look great. That especially if you scroll down, when you have an object there, which is there's a person or something, which is the bottom completely.
Yeah. Oh, down here.
This one, and then it's the last one actually in the end.
Oh yeah.
So that when you're doing that character thing, that's like great. That's a design effort. Here it doesn't mess up anything because you're in the end. But in general, in the landing page, having those sections separated without them crossing over, unless it's an arrow pointing to the next thing, is a good thing. Because you want them to kind of follow the logical stuff. Okay, now action. I got something else. Now action, right? And not get lost. That's all, Okay.
Great. Cool. Awesome. So we have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more to go through. So we will shoot some videos and we'll send an email individually to folks. And And yeah, just drop your LinkedIn, and then if you want to keep in touch with other marketers that are in here and also in touch with us. And if you haven't booked a meeting with Anna yet, if you're considering using our services, please do. We will we will be in touch with the recording tomorrow. That should be completed. So you'll get an email with the recording and the checklist, and then folks that put in comments for us to take a look at your landing pages. Keep an eye. It might take us a couple of days to do those because we have some other stuff to do with the business, but we want to make sure that we prioritize those and get those to you as well.
All right. So yeah, thank you for all the good feedback. Appreciate you guys.
This was phenomenal. It was a great chat. I loved the energy. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you at the next one, and you'll hear from us very soon.
All right.